Then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody joining us from around the world. Welcome to this masterclass from upGrad KnowledgeHut. I'm Smita, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining us today. I am from upGrad KnowledgeHut, and we are a global training organization. We have trained over 500,000 professionals in the field of agile, project management, cybersecurity, AI, among others. We have helped 4,500 plus enterprise clients in agile transformations, and we have global presence in more than 100 plus countries, and we are still counting. Today, we'll be talking about the role of modern RTE, driving business value through AI and agility. How many of us agree that in today's rapidly evolving business environment, success is no longer measured by the number of features delivered? It is measured by the value delivered to the customer. So, modern release trained engineers play a very critical role in helping organizations accelerate value delivery by improving flow, enabling collaboration, removing systemic impediments, and aligning agile release trains with strategic business objectives. And now we are standing at another turning point. This time it's AI. But unlike previous technology shifts, AI isn't simply changing the tools we use. It's changing how organizations make decisions, create value, and even define leadership itself, right? Artificial intelligence has begun changing responsibilities of an RTE by enabling predictive insights, intelligent planning, and faster enterprise decision making. So that's the gap we're here to close today. Over the next 1 hour, we'll explore how RTEs can move from operational coordinators to strategic business enablers. So before I introduce the speaker for today's session, join me in welcoming our trainer Amit Kaulagekar. He's an SPCT candidate and previously worked as a strategic advisor at Scaled Agile Inc. Amit is an enterprise transformation coach with more than 26 years of experience. He has worked as a trusted advisor to leadership teams. Amit has also trained and certified 12,000 plus professionals over the last 18 years. So, Amit, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Smita. That was short and sweet. Just really appreciate that. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. When Smita was introducing today's topic, modern release train engineer, and specifically, what it means to drive a business value through AI, enterprise agility, and flow. The moment we hear the word modern RTE, it may sound like as though we are suggesting that the RTE role is changing. But that's not the argument that I'm going to have in next 45-50 minutes. Many of the fundamentals that are associated with the RTE role, they remain exactly same as important as they have been, like facilitation, coaching, alignment, systems thinking, even relentless improvement for that matter. Then what's changing and why we are calling this as modern RTE? So what's changing is the environment in which we as RT are applying those capabilities. Our customers are expecting faster outcome from us. Systems are getting interconnected. I would say increasingly interconnected. Dependencies are going beyond individual teams. And now AI has started to change how the work is getting done. So during next 40-45 minutes, let's explore one question together as part of this webinar. What does all of this mean for the release train engineer? Smita did mention that I'm a SPCT candidate. I'm also a certified RT. I've worked in the past as a release train engineer. And I would definitely like to mention that during last 1 year, I have had an opportunity to work with almost 70 plus release train engineers. And what I'm sharing with all of you in next 40-45 minutes is the summary of my coaching experience with these 70 plus release train engineers. So let's continue. Could you please go to the next slide, please? We'll start with the basics, basically. What is a release train engineer? Most of us are familiar with this definition that release train engineer is a servant leader and coach for the agile release train, as it is mentioned on the slide. But when we look at what that actually means, there are multiple dimensions to that role. As RTE, we facilitate, we coach, we orchestrate across teams, we help with risk management, managing dependencies, removing impediments, and most importantly, we also are expected to apply system thinking to improve flow. We as RT, we do not operate in isolation. We work closely with product management, we work with system architects, business owners, scrum masters, team coaches, and of course, I mean, most importantly, we work closely with agile teams as well. So there's a lot that is happening around this role of RT. But what happens is, most of the time, or rather, this is what has been the observation. Most of the time, what is happening is that the visible part of this role, of this job, is consuming our attention. PI planning is coming up, we need to prepare. There's an art sync tomorrow, we need to plan. Uh, there are dependencies that we need to follow up with. Oh, iteration is coming to an end. So we have to organize a system demo. There is an impediment that somebody is talking about. I need to pay attention to that. And before we know, the day is over, another PI has gone. But below all these activities, there is something much more fundamental that we need to look at, think about. What we are doing is we are trying to help this team of teams succeed as one team, and we are also expecting them to deliver value. We are trying to help our agile release train, a team of agile teams, to succeed as one team and deliver value. So if you look at the slide and if you read the sentence at the bottom of that slide, it says this RT role isn't defined by the meetings that we facilitate. It is defined by helping the art succeed as a system. And if that's the purpose, then another question that comes to my mind, which is more important or more interesting, is that has the emphasis of the RT role changed as the environment around us has started changing, or it has already changed? Let's go deeper on the next slide. Now, when I put this slide in front of you, and if you read RTE 1.0, RTE 2.0, RTE 3.0, and then modern RTE, I am not talking about, or I'm not suggesting that it's a maturity model, that you have to mature from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 and to modern RTE. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not also suggesting that someone who is RT 1.0, someone here is RT 1.0, and someone is like a modern RT. No, I'm not even suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is that, or what these labels and why I've used these labels is to highlight or emphasize that the role is expanding from event facilitator to art coach to flow and system leader to outcome and enabled change leader. RT role is expanding. Couple of years back, and really just couple of years back, many organizations experienced that the RT was primarily a person who helped them run the train in terms of organizing events, paying attention to the cadence and coordination between teams. But then coaching dimension gained momentum. It started becoming increasingly important. How do we improve the collaboration across agile release stream? Then during last 1 year, we started looking beyond individual teams and started asking questions at the system level. Like where is value, waiting? Where are the bottlenecks? What dependencies are slowing the agile release train down? And in a span of just 1 year, Now that dimension is also, that's also changing. A new dimension is emerging. How do we connect all of this activity to outcomes? What happens when AI becomes part of the system that we are part of? Nothing has disappeared. Facilitation is still there. It matters. Coaching still matters. And so is the flow of value. The role of RTE is becoming broader. It is not becoming different. It's becoming broader. And there's a business reason like why this evaluation matters for all of us. Let's start understanding it now. Let's move to the next slide. I want to give you an example, like when I talk about this slide, and there are some numbers also mentioned on this slide. Imagine an agile release train. PI planning is done. It has gone really well. Everybody is happy. And RTE has received some notes, congratulations notes saying that that was one of the best PI plannings that I've ever attended. Great. Teams have got busy with their iterations, their velocity. Like we are done with a couple of iterations. Velocity looks good. Features are moving. I mean, the teams are completing the features. There are system demos that are happening, and whether at team level or art level, all the events are running successfully. Everything looks good. Organization is happy, leadership is happy. But then after 6 months, somebody from the business comes and asks a very simple question, but that makes you uncomfortable. The question is very simple. You have delivered all of this work. Great. What business results have actually changed? I ask this question to any RT with whom I interact. I have a chat. Your agile release train is doing great. Fantastic. But what has actually changed for the business in last 6 months or 1 year? Believe me, 98% of the RTs do not have an answer to that question. And that becomes an interesting moment for me. I'm not saying that we as RTs are failing. No, far from it. But what this situation is telling me is that in terms of activity, in terms of productivity, and even in terms of predictability, it does not automatically equal business value. Now let's have few more questions. And I know answer to some of these questions is going to be yes. Did we complete the work? Yes, we did. Our predictability is very high. How effectively did value flow through our system? How effectively, did value flow through our system? How effectively? How do you measure that? Do we even measure that, Amit? Oh, yes, we do. We don't know. We haven't heard about it. Like how effectively value is flowing through the system. Okay. Another question. The outcomes that we delivered, have they actually improved something for the customer? Again, 90 to 95% of the RTs do not have an answer to this question. We don't know. We don't have visibility. We don't measure that. We don't know how it should be done. We don't know how to connect it to the agile release train. These are the kind of answers that I get. And that's where the real conversation begins. Because as I said, like I got an opportunity to work with 70 plus release engineers during last 1 year. I have also seen some of the RTs losing their job because they did not meet the expectations of the customer. So this is the shift that I want to explore with all of you right now. Moving on to the next slide, please. Thanks. So how do we think about this connection? And I didn't want to show this as a traditional hierarchy, where strategy gets decomposed into uh, epics and then epic, then from epic to capabilities and to features and stories. I'm looking at it more as a learning loop. We start with business intent, which results actually matter for the business. That's we start with that, and then we translate that into the outcomes for the agile release train, for a PI, outcomes that are measurable. Teams pick up features from the product management. They are part of those choices. We also need enablers. We sometimes work with spikes, we experiment, we prototype, and then something interesting, something important happens. Whatever the agile release train has created, it meets the reality. When I say it meets the reality, that means customers start using it and they start reacting to it. Once they start reacting to it, we start receiving some data, operational data. So now we get some evidence. Has the problem solved? Has the problem been solved? What we are trying to do? Whatever assumptions with which we started, were they correct? Did the behavior change? And the feedback that we are getting from the users, the feedback that we are getting from the customers, that actually informs us what to do next. The goal no more remains about how many features we are delivering. The actual goal then becomes like how we can shorten the distance between what the business intent is, which is on the left hand side, to value delivery, evidence, and learning. How we can shorten that distance. Do I need to wait for my entire PI to get over to have some learning, or can I shorten the distance? And that's where RTE role starts becoming more interesting. Can we do that? Answer is yes, absolutely. And that is what is expected of you now. So, what is the model or RTE value model that I'm talking about? We'll look at it on the next slide. That's the modern RTE value model that I'm referring to. If at all there's one thing that I want you to remember from today, I want you to remember this picture. At the core of it, at the center of it, is business value. Better outcomes, that too sooner. With less waste, we don't want to have, don't want to take any unnecessary risks. But around it, I am proposing three important capabilities: flow, enterprise agility, and AI. When we talk about flow, what we are looking for is like how effectively can value, move through the entire system. When we talk about enterprise agility, we are talking about effectiveness of the wider organization around that agile release train and its response in the form of decisions, in the form of dependencies and constraints. How that's taking place. And the third and most important today is AI. How can we augment the intelligence of the system? How we can start sensing things earlier? How we can analyze more information? How we can reduce repetitive work? How my agile release train can learn faster? Do you own any of this as a RT? Do I own any of this as a RT? No, I don't own any of this independently. That's where again it's important. As a RTE, I'm in a position to connect all of these dots. And how do I do that? Through facilitation, coaching, systems thinking, and relentless or continuous improvement. So, what am I saying today? The modern RTE helps improve the conditions. The modern RTE helps improve the conditions through which the business value is realized. And that is what is expected of RTE role today. 6 months down the line, probably things would have changed even further. And I might say something else because in my role today, I get an opportunity to talk to many RTs. But what I have realized today is that RTs are expected to improve the conditions through which the business value is getting realized. What are those conditions? First and most important is flow. So let's look at flow on the next slide. As a RTE, I ask one simple question. Where is value waiting? In my, when my agile release train is working from PI planning to PI closure, where is value waiting? Multiple teams, many systems, how much time the actual work is taking to be completed, and how much waiting that's happening around the work. Either you're waiting for another team, waiting for approval, uh, or there is too much WIP, the capacity and demand is not balanced properly, or you're waiting for a system team or shared services because there is a dependency which wasn't visible earlier. So when you start asking question about flow, the conversation changes. I'm not asking a question. I'm not only asking this question like how productive are my teams? The real question that I've started asking is how effectively my teams can move value through the entire agile release train. I'm trying to apply system thinking to the flow of value. I want to move from team productivity to end-to-end flow. Can we move to the next slide, please? So here is another example. Team A is 35% more productive. Team B, 28%. Team C, good 40%. Fantastic. And this is something, this was shared with me by a release engineer just last week. And with the permission, I put this example here. Great improvement. But then what he said is that, Amit, I don't know what happens. After the PI is done, whatever features that we have developed and deployed, they sit in a queue to be released. And we don't know how long they would sit in that queue to be released. Sometimes it could be like a couple of weeks, sometimes it could be a couple of months. And they wait for approvals. So I asked him, like, what happens to the overall time, to value? And he said, I don't have any visibility to that part. I can talk to you about, what's within the control of my art. But beyond that, I don't get to see that because I get busy with the next PI and I don't look for it. That's interesting. We want our teams to deliver value faster. But when they start delivering faster, what's actually happening in this situation? They're, they're delivering that value, they're feeding the queue, which is waiting for approval faster. So we are not talking about we are not talking about local productivity. We also need to understand the difference between local productivity and end-to-end flow, because these two are not the same things. For an RT, this is an important shift in mindset. I am not optimizing my 10 individual teams. Optimizing a component does not optimize the system. So I'm not optimizing my 10 individual teams. Rather, together as one team of agile teams, we are helping optimize the system of teams through which the value is flowing. So what happens when there's a big constraint, and that is, your agile release train cannot fix. It's outside your control. Can we move to the next slide, please? Here we are talking about enterprise agility enable adaptation. What I'm trying to put here is that some problems cannot be solved within the team. Some problems teams solve. Some require coordination across the agile release train. This is where RTE can facilitate. But then there are occasions where the constraints are outside agile release train. They are entirely at some other place. It could be related to enterprise governance, and that's creating a delay. Shared service might have become a bottleneck. It could involve funding decision. So multiple situations, and in such situations, if you ask your agile teams to become faster, that's not going to solve these problems. And this is where the scope of RTE role is enhancing. This is where that wider idea of enterprise agility is now becoming relevant from the perspective of release engineer. The constraints, the impediments to business value that some of the examples that I just talked about, when they go beyond the agile release train, then you need the broader organization to have that ability to respond and adapt. And RT has to play a key role there, because RT suddenly, starts owning this enterprise governance. Enterprise funding may not be owned by RT, but RT can facilitate. So that helps us to move to the next part. Next slide, please. When RT actually does not have authority to solve these kind of problems, what should RT do? And as I said, like, this is where the role is going to become interesting. First and most important, making those constraints visible. Again, when I asked this question, how many times have you highlighted constraints that were outside the control, outside the boundary of agile release train? And most of the RTs give a negative answer to that question. I'm not saying that all RTs. There are some amazing RTs that I have met in last 1 year, and I actually felt jealous at a certain point. Like, wow, this person is playing his role or her role so well. I need to learn so much from this individual. I've come across those situations as well. But there were many situations where they were not doing this. They didn't even know that they had to do this. We need to bring evidence. As RT, we need to bring evidence. We need to show what that constraint is doing to the flow of value, what kind of risk that we are facing, what impact it's having on the outcome when the impediment is outside the control of agile release train, escalating it to the appropriate level, bringing right decision makers to the table, having a conversation, facilitating that conversation, and keeping that impact visible. There's an approval which repeatedly adds 10 days to every release, as you can see the example on the slide. The RT is not going to go there and say that, I'm the RT of this agile release train, change the process. They will not even listen to you. But if the RT makes the organization see the recurring delays and the cause of those recurring delays and its impact, its effect on the flow time, and what it's doing to our ability to deliver value, that changes the entire conversation, because we are moving from opinion to evidence. So one of the capabilities of the modern RTE is not to solve every systemic problem, but at least become so good that you can help the system see those problems itself. It's a very interesting thing that I'm talking about. Help the system see those problems itself. And that's what, is becoming important now. So what is the next evolution of a release engineer? Let's look at it on the next slide. Whatever we have discussed so far on earlier slides, if you have to put all of that together, then a picture starts emerging for all of us. The emphasis, it starts shifting from facilitation or facilitating events to enabling better decisions, from tracking work to understanding flow, Instead of just managing known dependencies, becoming better at sensing emerging risks, systemic risks, connecting execution with outcome, and even from simply using AI to improve individual productivity or simply using AI as an individual productivity tool to thinking about how AI can augment the art itself. This is not something like this is happening gradually. This is happening increasingly. I'm not suggesting that every RT is expected to be, doing all of this today, or RT should do this perfectly today. No, that's not possible. But at least as RT community, we should start thinking in the not just start thinking in a direction. We should come up with a plan like how we can move in this direction. These are the signals about where the role is heading. And that raises another question in my mind. Let's go to the next slide, please. If you read the title of the slide, that's the question. What could AI make possible for the modern RTE? I don't want to turn this session into into a AI tool demonstration, honestly. I'm just thinking of some of the possibilities. What if we as RTs are able to see dependencies or risks before it has impact on our PI? What if we get an answer to that question? Where is value waiting across the agile release train? And not just answer, but get evidence rather than we spending hours gathering information. What if AI could look across teams for signals with respect to risks, dependencies, uh, even for that matter, trying to kind of bring the pieces together from retrospectives and tell us that there's a pattern that is emerging here, and you may probably would like to investigate. So whatever time that we were spending in collecting information, consolidating it, formatting it, and communicating that information to a larger audience, a lot of that time is going to get saved. And this is just the beginning, I'm saying. That time that we are spending in doing all these activities, we are going to gain that time. And what do we do with that time? More coaching, better conversations, engaging with leaders, not only of the art, but beyond that, more problem solving. And this opportunity is something that I find very, very interesting. Another key highlight here, AI doesn't replace RTE. AI is not going to replace RTE, but it's going to change where the RTE can spend human judgment. It's going to change that. AI is going to change where RTE can change human or can spend human judgment. Let's look at AI augmented workflow, RTE workflow on the next slide. Just one of it and what it would look like. We are talking about, say, dependency management. Dependency management related information is distributed across planning tools. Teams talk about it, risks, there's art planning board, and there are conversations as well that are happening. Now we introduce AI into this picture. It's not a one-time thing. AI is continuously looking across various signals and highlights the RT. This is the area where something appears to be a risk, or it may become a risk. Now, what happens? AI is not making a decision for you. RT has to go. RT has to see what AI has highlighted. RT has to validate that context. Is it really going to become a risk? Is it really going to be a problem? What's actually behind it? Who should I talk to? Bringing together appropriate teams, product management, system architects, business owners, or whoever is required, SMEs or senior scrum masters, product owners, whoever. These human beings are going to make the decision. And if there is really a dependency, that's going to get resolved, or it would be escalated, whichever is appropriate. So, what AI is bringing to the table is sensing, analysis, highlight, but even before that, synthesis. So, sense, analyze, synthesis, and highlight. Then, what is RTE bringing to the table? Context, understanding what actually is happening, using judgment, human judgment. Then, bringing the people together. So, facilitation of the discussion. That's the third thing that RTE would bring to the table. If required, RTE would coach them. That's the next thing. And then, most importantly, applying systems thinking. If we are able to do this a lot earlier, not when it takes place, but a lot earlier, because AI's sensing part is with AI. So if AI can highlight it a lot earlier, we can take care of these things a lot earlier. We reduce waiting, we reduce the risk, and we can realize the value also a lot earlier. If at all it works, everything works perfectly. One of the examples of AI augmented RT workflow. And this is just one example. I mean, there could be many examples. And we talk about some of those examples in RT class as well, what Scaled Agile framework has. So let's move to the next slide. What's happening here? Technology is changing, but RT capabilities are going to endure. They're going to go a long way. If you look at all of this, there's something which is very, very important below all of this. As I said on the previous slide, AI is going to help us sense faster. The first bullet point under AI, AI can help you in that box. AI is going to help us sense faster, analyze more information, identify patterns, all of that. But AI cannot walk, or AI cannot get into a difficult PI planning conversation. And that's interesting. That conversation has to be done by at least an engineer. AI is not going to help in creating trust between two groups. AI cannot replace coaching opportunities or coaching, genuine coaching. AI is not going to take ownership, accountability for decisions. AI will not be able to replace systems thinking. You need to give inputs to AI and get something out of it. AI cannot create psychological safety using the prompts. And most importantly, AI cannot make someone an effective released engineer. So what's getting highlighted here? Human released engineer capabilities becoming more and more important, not less. All that I just talked about: coaching, facilitation, system thinking, flow, risk and dependency management, relentless improvement, alignment. Of course, AI can amplify those capabilities, but first we need to have those capabilities. So let's come back to where it all started half an hour ago. Could you please go to the next slide? We started this discussion with the RT as a servant leader and coach for the Agile release train. That's not gone away. But what we discussed in last few slides is that there's an expansion of the environment in which release train engineer leadership is required. So does it mean that we don't have to run events anymore? We do. Running those events effectively, it's still Sanup, I am not very sure if you are the only one who is getting the echo, or everyone is getting the echo. But we are almost coming to an end, so just bear with us. My apologies for the echo. Thanks, Fanindra. So running those events effectively, it's still going to matter. Coaching art, still going to matter. Understanding flow, system thinking, and how to lead an AI augmented environment, all of this is going to matter. The tools will continue to change, and I'm certain that some of the AI tools, we are excited about today, it may not be there after 6 months, or even after 1 year, we may not be even talking about it. But our ability as released an engineer to lead the art is going to stay. And we don't develop that capability because our title changes to RTE. It requires learning, practice, coaching, experimentation, and experience. 8 to 10 years, 11 years in safe environment, and when you experience things changing, when you see the framework changing and its impact on your role, that's where the learning journey of RT comes in. Today, my intention was not to teach you how to do everything, all that we discussed. I just wanted to give you a picture. I wanted to create a picture of where this RT role is going, and few questions with respect to like where you want to go with it. That's where I would like to stop. I'm opening it up for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amit, for this very insightful session. Well, we have shared a quick poll in the chat to understand how helpful you're finding the session to be. Please, am I audible? Yeah, please take a moment to fill it out. Now, if you're joining us from LinkedIn, you'll find the poll link in the comments. Once you're done, feel free to drop your questions for trainer in the chat. We'll take them up shortly. Thank you everyone for participating. I think today's session has already answered a lot of questions that professionals have about how to improve business value as a release train engineer. When we started today's session, we spoke about transformation. For years, agile transformations have taught organizations how to deliver value faster. Today, AI is asking us to change the way we look at value delivery and update your role. But every career journey is different. So we would now like to open the floor to your questions. We'll spend next few minutes in answering as many questions as we can. So, Amit, we have a first question for you from Bhargava. It says, and I quote, "We check business score of each PI, right?"
I have to read that if that's possible. I didn't get that. Sorry.
He asks, "We check business score of each PI, right?" Is the question.
Yeah, yeah. When you say business score, if you're talking about the comparison or predictability, art predictability that you're talking about, then yes, we do.
Great. So we have second question for you from Panindra. The planned BV versus actual BV of PI objectives activities should be honestly done by product management to get the true business value of each PI outcomes.
Product management is, of course, I mean, they're an important part of it. So yes, they should be there. RT would consolidate it and RT would present it, and then they have a healthy discussion about it. So yes, they are very much part of it.
Great, thank you. And we have another question from Bhargava. Do AI tools connect to Jira
I
Align
answered
or
that. I answered that. I said like it's a that we need to understand the context and specific scenarios. So which tool that they are talking about, and then its compatibility, whether their organization allows it to connect or not. Because organization has to invest in buying that tool and then eventually connect it to Jira Align or Edio. So that's something that organization specific. So I there is no straightforward answer to that question.
Okay. So we have another question from Amber. For a big ART in a cross-dependent big enterprise, what are the distinction of roles, KRAs among RTE, delivery manager covering 1 to 3 teams, scrum master, and program managers?
Amber, probably I have to create that and I have to send it to you because it's not something it's a pretty big question, an important one, and I'm glad that you have asked about it. But I will have to create that structure and then I will have to share it with you because for every role that you mentioned, whether it is RT, delivery manager, Scrum Master, Program Manager, the KRAs are going to going to change. Now you look at it from which perspective, whether it is from the in, whether from success of the transformation, whether about managing people, because you have mentioned delivery manager, so managing people, which may not become applicable for RT and Scrum Master, but there would be something different for program managers. So how these roles are defined in your organization and what is expected of them, accordingly we will have to put the KRS uh, together.
Okay. Amit, we have one more question from
From
Amber
Amber,
again.
yeah,
Any
I'm
AI
reading
tools
that.
integrated with Jira to create plan, dependencies, view, and risks? ROVO is costly. ROVO is
I'm
costly.
I have used Rovo only, so and that's what I have seen. And I've been using Rovo for like last 8 to 9 months, I would say, and it is working really well. I do not know how many licenses or what you are referring to, but for one of my customer who is also Atlassian customer, we are using Rovo and it is working really well for us. I will have to figure out if there are any others that are there, and then I would be able to answer that.
Well,
Next.
that's all we have as a questions, Amit.
No, no,
Thank you
no,
so
no, no,
much.
no, no, no. Bhanu has asked next question. How do
There is
this
one more.
RT
Sorry,
evolve?
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
RT
How do
evolve
this
while
RT?
balancing. Go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry
Yeah,
for
go
that.
ahead.
How do this RT evolve while balancing AI in the highly pressurized business environment?
That's a journey, and it's a you need to kind of create a plan with respect to like which are the areas that you want to evolve into, and you need to constantly keep talking to the leadership of the art and create a plan like this is something what I would want our agile release trend to evolve into. It's not just the role. If you're talking about managing flow, or if you're talking about managing dependencies, or if you're talking about relentless improvement, uh, there are many factors. Or if you are applying systems thinking to your agile release train, looking from continuous exploration to release on demand, and how the value is flowing and all of that, then it's not just you. So all the core of RT role in terms of collaboration, communication, facilitation, that's going to remain, but the the scope is going to get widened, and that's something that you need to plan with the leadership of the art, and we have to do it together. There's going to be pressure, but ultimately, what is the outcome that you're planning to deliver to the end customer? That matters, and if you can show some improvement in that, then things are going to be a lot better for you or easier for you, I would say.
Great. So we have question from Chetan. I have worked in quality assurance for 20 years. What is the path for someone from QA trained for an RTE role?
So, Chetan, if I'm understanding your question correctly, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you are moving from quality assurance means you're part of testing, and now you want to get into a RT role, definitely that's very much there. And you can start baby steps, but over a period of 1.5 year, you can be a great RT and you can help your teams. No doubt about that.
One more question from Fanindra. As more and more companies are going towards ending agile roles, how to stay relevant?
Fanindra, thanks for asking that question. And that's where, many of my conversations have begun with these release train engineers. What is it that, organizations are expecting? Why they don't need us is a question that these RTs ask. And then the counter question is, what is it that they're expecting from you, and what you're delivering, what you're giving them, giving your organizations. And that's why, when I was talking about the slides, I mentioned that I have seen three of the RTs losing their jobs. That's real because they could not meet the expectations of the organization. Now, why organization is ending agile role is they are ending agile roles is because they are unable to see the value that is coming out of it. If you can showcase the value of your role to the organization, then definitely they're going to continue with that role. And that's what I have started talking with all the release engineers. Honestly, when I'm talking to organizations, and Scaled Agile gave me that opportunity when I was working with Scaled Agile to talk to enterprises and understand their expectations. They're like, I don't need someone who will just do PI planning and run, schedule events on the calendar and done. I'm expecting a lot more from my release engineer. Why should I pay so much money to someone who just organizing events? And there are many such RTs who are doing that. There are many RTs who still are having a mindset where they think about team, or they think only at the team level. They haven't been transitioned from team level to art level. They are still thinking about what I can do for a team. No, that mental shift, that transition has to happen, and then they need to understand the magnitude. Like, as a RT, what all I can do. People find it very interesting when I say this. I ask a question to RT. Tell me 5 improvements that you have done in that your agile release train has experienced in last 6 months. They keep mum, no answer. Okay, forget about improvements. Tell me 5 innovative ideas that your agile release train has come up with in last 6 months. No answer. Tell me to what extent the flow of value has improved in last 6 months. No answer. That is not our responsibility. Oh, it is your responsibility. Our organization is expecting you to deliver that. Organization is expecting you to focus on those areas and improve those areas. If you don't do it, if you do not manage, another interesting conversation. What happens to the risks that we roam in the PI planning? Okay. Is it my responsibility? RT is asking me a question. Is it my responsibility to look at those risks during PI execution? Yes, it is your responsibility, right? So they are not even aware of all these things that it is expected of them. Either they are not trained, either they are not certified, or they have taken it lightly. And I'm sorry I'm saying this. My apologies. I don't want to hurt anyone, but honestly, sometimes the conversations make you feel like that. So it is our responsibility to take ownership of all these areas and show improvement to the organization. Like, this is what we can bring to the table. Then you are relevant, you stay relevant, and you're relevant to the organization as well. Make sense,
Right.
Panindra?
Great. Amit, we have one more question
Yes.
from Oliver Season. In terms of
Hmm.
flow bottlenecks, how can AI assist in DevOps CI/CD process?
Mm, there are multiple ways, or there are two, three things that come to my mind immediately. It's a good question. Thank you for asking that. So, with the help of AI, we can look at the patterns, we can, uh, look at how we can uh, make the value flow up to the bottleneck in such a way that bottleneck doesn't remain a bottleneck. It is called as in Eliyahu Goldratt's language, it is called as subordinating to the bottleneck. So how we can subordinate to the bottleneck with the help of AI, all the earlier steps, and make value flow smoothly through the bottleneck. At least that's where we can take help of AI. But beyond that, we can also think of another way to do is another way to take help of AI at the bottleneck is and I'm answering the question based on the way I've understood it. If my understanding is wrong, then the answer would change. But the way I've understood it, so we can use AI at the bottleneck to make sure that we can exploit the bottleneck to the maximum possible extent with the help of AI. So we can transfer some of the work of bottleneck to AI, which is a non-value add work, so that bottleneck can only focus on doing value add work. That's also another way of using AI while taking care of bottlenecks.
Well, that's all for today. That's all are the questions for today. Thank you so much, Amit, and thank you everyone who have joined us today. Hopefully, today's conversation has helped you see that this isn't just another role or another certification. It's an opportunity to become part of what the next chapter of enterprise transformation doing flow. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as we like to say at UpGrad Knowledge Hut, close the gap. Thank you.
Okay,